Hey, hi everybody. This is webinar number 6 from ADDMORE Services, and today we're going to be discussing the Magnificent Seven and the rise of food halls, which will be exploring adaptive reuse and culinary innovation. ADDMORE is always enabling scalable, managed offshore teams through ADDMORE Services. The speakers today are myself, Colin Addley. I'm the President and Managing Member of ADDMORE Services, and our guest speaker is Lu Schildmeyer, Principal of LUS Design Associates and the Lead Consultant of the Magnificent Seven. So welcome to the webinar, Lu, and it's a pleasure to have you on board here today.
Thank you, Colin. I'm also honored to be here. Going to have a fun session today.
Yeah, it'll be good. Be a lot of interesting information, I'm sure, for everybody. Okay, so let's meet the Magnificent Seven and who they are. So the Magnificent Seven is a consortium of seasoned consultants across the United States and with diverse backgrounds in architecture, design, operations, strategy, all the components required to deal with food and beverage operations. Together, they offer a holistic approach to food service development, and it's a pretty unique concept, as everybody in the consortium are independent companies that work themselves, but are collaborating for their benefit, mutual benefit, and for the benefit of the clients. So what do? They provide a fully customized food service model, integrated specialist skills from each consultancy, including an expert with bars, support adaptive reuse and innovative F&B concepts. And Lu himself is the founding member, one of the founding members and lead consultant for food halls. Lu brings a lot of expertise, as you will find as we go on through the webinar, in transforming underutilized spaces into thriving culinary hubs, which is definitely something that is a current trend and growing and makes a lot of sense, as Lu will get into that later in the webinar. So Lu, I'll let you explain about yourself and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Yeah, this is, I want to make sure everybody's clear on this, Colin, about the consortium. And what we found so far, this has been organized by Colin. He actually reached out to me, and we had a very magical hour-and-a-half conversation. It was only supposed to be half an hour. And in that time, we came to a conclusion, and I said, Colin, I need to call some people. And so I did, and one thing led to another, and the seven was formed. And so we really are bringing expertise. The least amount of experience we have between all of us is about 25 years. A lot of us have 50. I have 44 total. I mean, the 30/80 as in there is correct for that kind of work. And then we have, but the big paradigm that we're trying to change here, and what is needed, is that F&B is first in these larger projects that a lot of us would be involved in. Not all of us, but a lot of us, like hotels. These food halls we're discussing more in depth, but it's really a paradigm shift where we would want to be first in and talk to the clients and the developers, because that is where the money is made in most of these large things. But there is no reason that we can't get in and do that, because then there's a better opportunity for the other firms and the other professionals, because we'll have a lot more information that they don't have to guess on their fees. And I've done this in my own firm, LUS Design Associates, since I've had it. And I just find, like, when I do the preliminary design and that, I get to a point where it's ready for pricing, but then I get pricing for my clients from trusted MEP companies that I've worked with, professionals, of course. And their fees will always be less because they know the parameters. And so that's kind of what we're doing with this, depending on what we're given as an RFP, or we work with the clients to put an RFP together for their project, because we really want to be hands-on up front and, go from there. So that's kind of how this whole formation started. And Colin and I are kind of the leads, and we back and forth. And so it's really one of those things that they elected me, which I was very honored. So we all are individual owners, but elected me because I wear 3 hats. I am an interior architect, I'm a certified lighting designer, but I also am an FCSI food service consultant, where in the Magnificent Seven, 3 of the other consultants are also FCSI consultants that specialize. They're in the back of the house, everything to do with that. But then we have 2 others that are very much like 50 years, one, and another one's 46, operational experts on the front of the house, or just getting a concept together as a pencil that'll work. You get your performas, all that. And then that helps us as the nuts and bolts guys that we call all of us that do the other stuff, to give the client a better price and more fair to all of us, because we have the information. Half the time these RFPs, Colin, you know this, they're
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing. I don't like to laugh, but it's true. So that's kind of, a lot of the things that we're doing is based on that. And then the contributions, yeah, the modular thing is very important. We have some paradigms that we have developed in Maine particular. Imagine having a food hall. You say you have a raw space, and then you are putting all these, we call them stalls. Well, there's a company that can make this. They can make all the stud walls and everything off-site and bring it in. And the developer of that will save money. He'll have all these tax credits and everything. And Colin knows this, that's half the battle in a construction site is the cleanup. So this will all be ready. You can even have pre-wired to a point and pre-plumbed. So they set the walls, and then they, get the inspections approved locally, and then they put up. So these are game changers. These are minor things, but that's an important one, is we could do that. I'm doing it right now with some of my regular just restaurants. We need to add a bathroom. Well, they can build the whole darn thing off site, drop it in place, and get it inspected. Yeah. So that's the modular piece that we're talking about. It's very, very into it. But this guy that I met, again, all of us have connections and resources, and that's what sets us apart too. Everybody has their book of go-tos. Imagine having 7 books of go-tos. We just have so much that we can offer. Yes, there's a lot of power there. So yeah, so that's about it for that.
Just want to mention one thing there, Lou, on the modular. A lot of people probably don't think about the modular when it comes to food and beverage, but it's a really good thing. I'm a big proponent of modular. I used to be a CEO of one of the small business units I was CEO of in Dubai. Was a pod company where we'd make the full bathroom or kitchen for hotels, designed from day one, and we'd put 200 bathrooms into a hotel, all done off site in a controlled environment. Got the site, less mess, more organized, less trades on site. You have controlling factories. It's harder to control a lot of men in a small space on a site. So
mod
this is a great thing to look into.
Yeah, and ModSpace, everybody should know this. ModSpace has been doing this for years with many Starbucks and everything. They've been around in the United States.
This is a great concept that maybe not everybody's familiar with, but I think it's something everyone should be looking into, or talk with Lou and get some more information. But it's definitely something that they should look into.
Yes.
Thanks, Lou.
Okay. So I want to make sure that everybody realizes, because a lot of people have a misconception about really what a food hall is. Imagine this, back when we had the, you would call them food courts, things like that, a good majority of them from the get-go were chains. They just happened to pull all their chains together under one roof in a mall or something like that. And that was a good paradigm then. But the paradigm today and globally is craft food, more adult and family synergistic locations to do things. Like, that's why a food hall is so much different, but also so much in demand. We're always looking at, okay, you're looking at your return on investment for the client you're serving. But in these situations, these food halls, we're also looking more at the developers, because they can be large, they can be medium, but we can show them tax advantages that they can reap right now. Especially Trump just passed all this stuff. But besides all that, not counting that thing I was mentioning earlier about the module, imagine a bill, he can write that off up front. Those things are brought in, all those walls and everything. So, there's many things that we do beyond design. We are a consultancy, yes, but we care about their business, and all of us are that way. See, we only want to work on private work. We're not public work design firms
No.
at all. There's a lot of the other firms they do, but it's more, they don't want to do, they prefer to do private. And that's kind of the group consensus of all of us, the seven companies. And we can move faster. There's just a lot of reasons. But the other key distinction is, unlike that, I had said that already about the quality of variety, but these are incubators. Especially, there's a lot of markets. Seattle happens to be one of them. Oregon, there's many around the country in Midwest that are where, okay, they want to get entry. They want to try their concept. Or maybe they have one already maybe they've already gone into a food hall that we've done, but now they want to try something else. Or the one didn't do well, and that's going to happen. But they can always try something else. But it's the least amount of entry. It used to be a pop-up. That's okay. But if it takes off, then what do you do? If you're in one already, you're in a food hall already, you've already taken away the pop-up piece. Yes, you're doing it. And if it takes off, if it doesn't, you just close. It's in the terms of your lease. And that's the other difference in food halls. And I was involved early on before the name food hall was even mentioned. Since I'm an FCSI consultant, I was invited. We went to this place and did a tour of one of the first. It's called Legends. It's in Plano, Texas. Now imagine this, everybody. It's 4 stories tall, 4 stories. But what they did, very smart. They have Front Burner Restaurant Group is one of the big ones in Texas. They had the developer. They had partnership. Everybody bought into it. They did 100% turnkey, meaning they would vet all of the vendors, okay? And they vetted them, and then they say, Mr. Vendor, here's what you're going to get. Full design, of course, with your input, but you don't have to do anything except unlock the door or open the door, go in and start training. That's a game changer. And also, one of the other game changers was a brewery that had their own brewery restaurant as one of these, the larger venue. But this became, Taylor Swift plays there now. It is a total entertainment complex. And that is what I see with these food halls. I'm going to go back a little bit on a micro level, because in our state, and I know it's around the country, but our state that I know, absolutely, there's so many Rite Aids, there's so many neighborhood businesses that are done. They're closed. You got parking, but people's mindset, they're used to going to those places, right? Now, of course, the internet's changed that, but there's still that pattern in their brain. And these are centers that can be for communities. To have a smaller food hall, great example of this is down, and everybody wants that. They can email me and I'll send them the information, but it's in Milwaukee, Oregon. But it was a Applebee's, a pretty newer one. It was a franchisee. They closed it. Well, a bunch of people came in, were smart. They took the bar. They still have alcohol, because that's very important in these food halls too, to have some alcoholic elements. So anyway, they put it to the back of the space. It's usually in the middle. They were able to get 6 other food concepts in there, in a neighborhood with parking. So and they're blowing it up. So to me, on a micro level, because it's going to take a lot of money to get these big ones, the legacy and all that stuff. That I see the future of food halls being a more micro, more community, and that also opens up for more changing of other building types, or within that building type. I'm actually working with one right now. I haven't told Colin this yet, but I think we might have our first food hall in Tacoma, Colin. It's getting close.
Great.
Yeah. But what happened was, it was vacant. It was an office building, office building. They're converting it to 75 condo size high-end apartments with all these amenities. But on the ground floor, they have 10,000 square feet. And
Wow.
I've already talked to them, and because I'm in with them on this other group I belong to, the business group within Tacoma. But what I'm saying is, around the country, and that's the other blessing that we have, because there's 7 of us and we're all in different parts of the country. We all help each other. We market each other. We market Colin's great business that he does with his offshore AEC and all that kind of stuff. And so it's all part of helping the client. At the end of the day, That's all we care about. Yes, we care about each other. We care about helping each other, but we are there for these folks, and a lot of them are indies, and small business in America, that's the backbone. And so we just see these as being great locations for people that want to get into food service, or they're in it, but maybe they want to try a concept. And it used to be you would do a full freestander, and then you would do an express version where you could
Yeah.
do that. That's huge. I mean, it's a huge thing. So just as, like I said, the last thing there about the visual culinary marketplace, excuse me, and diverse. See, that's the whole thing about this. It's craft food. It's but craft cocktails or craft beer, wine, whatever. But that's the key in all of this. You got to have at least one alcohol element, depending on the size of the mix. But the key is that we're seeing, and we're trying to go this way. In my market, I have a good friend of mine. He might be on this on his call or listening, and he is a developer slash real estate broker. He got in with a gentleman who is in our market 40 years. He's been a Asian chef and Asian cuisine. So they took strictly island Asian concept, street food, and they made a food hall for it in downtown Seattle during the pandemic. Now, I don't know if a lot of people on this call know what turns means, but turns is how many seats you have in a restaurant and how many times you can turn that amount of seats, that amount of people in a night or in a day part in a sitting. Well, they were doing 3.5 during the pandemic. And I just called to him because I knew I was having this webinar. He said now they're still doing about 2.2, but there's nothing downtown. They've cleaned it up, but people aren't, just like a lot of downtowns. They're starting to come back, but they got wiped out by all the offices. And I was just at another seminar about that. So I really have the pulse on what's going on. So I can tell everybody in this call, or just as this recorded again or repeated, that is a trend around the country. Denver, a year and a half ago, when we not too long after we formed this, I was talking to people in Denver, and they just got zoning changed. So that there's things that have to happen depending on the city and the area, that they could do some rehab and make more housing, which we all know around the country is needed. But to have that, you got to have food and entertainment. Otherwise, these things are going to die. It's just a fact. It's America. I'm not saying it's that way all over the world, but so that's really what a food hall is all about.
So I've got a question, Luke. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Franchise, is it this something that franchise chains look at, or is it more private
I haven't
individuals?
heard, to be honest with you. I think local, regional chains that maybe have multiple concepts, that would be perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they could do express. Like I work with them all the time. I have one I've worked with for 30 years, and they have like 10 restaurants, but they're under an umbrella, but they're all, every concept different. So to your point, yes, absolutely. That would be, again, if they want to try an express version, or with the pandemic, they want to downsize.
So it is open to
I think so.
Franchises can look at it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That was some good information.
Okay, so the key features, a lot of I've kind of talked about, but as it shows here on the deck, you will have diverse cuisine, but I do think a trend that everybody should look at is, depending on their market, where they're located, do a themed, like an Italian theme, for example, or Italian Mediterranean, because you could have gyros, you could have, different wine bars, you could have all kinds of different things within that genre, and then that becomes a destination, or the opposite is have it totally diverse. I mean, you would have maybe one Asian concept, one American concept, maybe two, maybe one bar that's maybe beer and wine, but then a full class H, which means spirits, that or that kind of a concept.
I like that concept better myself.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if I go somewhere, I don't want to just have all Asian restaurants. I want to be able to choose from an Italian or Japanese
exactly.
or whatever. Yeah.
I've just seen that some of the trends in the different markets. So that's the whole thing. The key is all this is you got to do due diligence. You got to have sit downs. And that's why we say we're in first, because we're the ones that sit down with these folks and help their dreams come to reality, but maybe challenge some of the stuff like you're challenging, which is great, or vice versa. They have a fantastic thing. There's no challenge when you do this. That's the problem. People have these concepts, but they don't know who to turn to. There's not a lot of us around. I'm telling you,
No.
there really isn't. And but that's the key. And then the community centric, again, I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention again, those could be actually fire starters for an area. We have a place down here in Tacoma. They're moving up the hill. The University of Washington has had a campus down here in Tacoma for 30 years. Well, now they're starting to go, it's down by the water, and they're starting, we call it up the hill behind them. And there's this one historic building called the Swiss. Well, they did a study of it all, and they had about 10 different, firms say, what could this become? Well, every one of them said the best choice is a entertainment / food hall or food destination, because we got the campus there. See, get this, there's no catering on campus. They have to do it off campus. So see, you're taking something that you could make more than just one place or cafeteria style or whatever. It's stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I got another question for you, which might help.
Sure.
Because some people are a bit confused. People
Okay.
have all got this in their mind since COVID about food buffets, and they're not good. But this food halls is not buffets. This is a totally different.
Not at all. There's not even close. There's nothing that relates to a buffet at all. No. It's order, take it, and you can sit at a communal seating.
I just want to clarify that we're not
sure, no, I appreciate
a buffet
that.
in a hotel. This is a
right
individual outlets that combine together to make a group venue.
Yes, a synergistic center for people to come, and then again, it's not just to come and leave. They can, yes, it's to come, and then they might meet some friends, or they might get to know people. It's a communal atmosphere, and that's the big difference. It's not a food hall, kids running around crazy.
I know you're going to lead into it, but one of the great things with this is that the existing buildings that maybe was an office building or was a bank, and now it's an empty building. There's a lot of that around the country, right?
Yep.
And those buildings can create a lot of character to a food hall.
Absolutely.
By their original design, like an old bank, and you make.
Yep.
I went to one in New York, in Westchester, and it's called. I think it's called the Bank. It was a former bank, and it's now an Irish pub. But it's got the outside theming.
Absolutely.
It really adds to the uniqueness of the food hall.
It does.
Experience. Yeah.
And I've done at least in my career, I've done over 790 restaurants now in my career, but I would say a good 50 or 60 were in historic buildings. Matter of fact, we're working on Rick, our barman, our bar expert, and myself. He brought me in. We're doing a historic building in Las Vegas, New Mexico, a 2-story that's going to be converted to a sports bar. But the guy's a native son but he's a part of the Dodgers organization. He wants to give back to the community. But still, yes, absolutely. And down in Oregon, anybody that has some interest want to do some research, just go online and go to Portland, Oregon. There's about 5 or 6. They're kind of the West Coast start of food halls. They also were the West Coast start of the food trucks. They were the first back in the 90s. So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. But yeah, we can move on to the next one, the strategic value and F&B landscape. Yeah. So we've again touched on this, but that's okay because this whole thing is kind of a thematic thing. We talked about the urban revitalization and the anchors. Yeah, there's a lot of great historic buildings or even anchor tenants, and that's the trend I see. It's been going on before the pandemic. Instead of anchor retail in malls or ones they're trying to convert to lifestyle centers, it's anchor restaurants. Well, now it can be anchor food hall. And it can be, again, we go back to that smaller footprint. It doesn't have to be 20, 30, 40, 50,000 square feet, whatever. No, it doesn't have to be that. It just depends on what we have to work with and if it makes sense for that particular area, that they want to think about doing a food hall in general, not just individual, restaurants or maybe a couple that face out.
The good thing there, I'm taking up on that, Lou. The good thing is that in the group, we have a couple of guys who are really good on, as you said, on operations. and
That's
definitely
right.
on feasibility studies. Got
Yep.
a lot of experience and can really help an owner out that
Right.
they're not going to walk into a minefield that's going to be a money pit later. That they
Yep.
if they listen to them, they give a lot of practical advice and
Oh
they
yeah.
have, provide very detailed feasibility studies.
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, one is Craig Pendleton. Excuse me. He's in Surprise, Arizona, and then you have Kevin Mull, and he's in Denver. And they're both have strengths. We have both of them because, like, Kevin is very, very strong in legalese. He actually has lawyers on staff, and he can take. He did a place that I did some work on. They want to go franchise. He developed the whole franchisee program, all the legalese, everything, so there's no slip ups, right? He said, "Oh, I'll just do a franchise. I'll get a lawyer and we'll write up a little." No, don't do that. Work. You're wasting your money. You're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Don't do that.
But that's the depth of experience that
Yes.
going
Yes.
to the
Yes. Yes.
Magnificent Seven brings. That one
Absolutely.
individual company can't do everything, but within the Magnificent Seven, they
Yep.
can literally do it all, really.
Yep. We can.
Mm.
And again, the second one, the incubator, we've talked about that pretty much already.
Yeah.
The operational flexibility, yeah, the share now that's key. I haven't talked about that much yet. The infrastructure, we have a gentleman, I was just on the phone with him. Garrett Lennon is a very good expert with business industry, hotel kitchens, larger kitchens, but also the infrastructure that I would like a food hall. Myself and our food hall expert who has done more with urban space before he started his own. He's done like 14, 15 food halls all back east. He's our food hall expert. I am too, but I do all three things. He is the expert for getting the master plan. We work on that together to get it to that point, and then we can bring on other people, other members, or whatever we need, interior designers, things like that. Things we don't do, but we have resources to get the best that will be best for that project. So we have a stable of other designers that we can work with or will work with and have worked with.
Well, I just got to
Yeah.
put a
So
sales pitch in for
yeah.
ADDMORE's bit here because people probably wonder what ADDMORE's involved in all this. But one of the things we can do from ADDMORE is provide
Yep.
project management for the owner. So
Right.
we are not going to do we're not going to be the general contractor or we're not going to do the interior designing, but we can give lists of people that are qualified to do it and in proper reporting to the owner. And if the owner wants, even my company, we can even be on board from myself and my team, and we can overview the people off-site, on-site, between members of the Magnificent Seven and myself, because we're countrywide. We can visit most places if something's being manufactured off-site. On-site, we can handle it. So the owner, if he wants a project management service as an owner's rep to make sure that the whole thing is coming together,
Mhm.
that's where ADDMORE can step in and offer a support service, just to close the whole circle.
Right. And that's what I want to mention too, because Colin is as integral to the seven. He's not a seven, but he is a seven. And he really is. But for us, I mean, I've been so blessed to certain projects I've had, and I say, hey, I need some help here, or he recommended early on in our conversation, this woman, I should say, named Shannon Kimmel. She's internationally known interior designer for hotels. And she's already said she's had many conversations with people. They like our paradigm shift, how we would come in first. They really see value to that. But here's a world-renowned interior designer that we would definitely want to use on that kind of a project. And she would bring us in and vice versa. So those are the things that, again, experience talks and you know what else walks. And it is that.
Yeah,
It really is.
I was on a call with her this morning. We were talking, and
Cool.
if anyone goes to her LinkedIn page, she writes some
Yeah.
really articles. She's an
Outstanding.
exceptional talent. I know her from overseas. I worked with her in Dubai maybe 24 years ago. We did many hotels together. She is an excellent add-on value to our team.
Right. And that's what I've seen myself after the pandemic. I've had more inquiries. LinkedIn has always been very strong for me and my company, but people do not want to take a chance. They're looking
Yes.
for experts. They're not going to sit there and say, well, this architect or this designer has done one or two restaurants, or I'm going to have my wife's friend who did, in,
Yeah.
resident
Yeah.
interiors. So no, 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 no. So I'm seeing a lot more of that, and I'm not doing that to toot our own horns. I'm just saying it's reality. You
Yes.
just don't want it. Why? Why would you want it? You're putting all this money in, and yes, trust is the most important thing. That's why we have this
Yeah.
organization.
And
We all
I
trust
think,
each other. It's
yeah,
very
and I think,
important.
Lou, a very important thing you've said to me before offline is that we're not just aiming at every client is not going to be a fit for us, because if
Right.
they don't want to listen to our, I'm in construction 50 years.
Oh, sure.
I don't know everything, but you know something by now, right? So
Yep.
if that group of Magnificent Seven and myself, and we're giving advice, and a client doesn't want to listen to those things,
Yeah.
they're not the people we want to be with. Because
No.
if we know what works from experience of years and years and years of doing something, and somebody who's they're trying something new, I don't think that's probably, when I say
Yeah.
we're open to new ideas, new technology,
Oh,
everything,
absolutely. Hmm.
but if we know that there's certain things in the industry that work and don't work, and like in terms of the operation, if they want to set it out a certain way, if they want to maximize the turns, they've got to listen to people in the Magnificent Seven who know how to make that happen by proper space planning. Like people like Lou, they know how to lay out a place. They
Right.
from choosing the bar menu and the drinks that you should serve, considering the profits that you need to make.
Hmm.
That's what we do. And if the client doesn't want to be involved in that way with us, they're not. So it's not a fit for everybody. It's for
Yeah.
people who really need experts and need that help and are willing to listen. And obviously, we can always give one, two, or three options, and we're not just going to
Oh,
force
always.
one
No.
thing. So we're flexible. But I mean, I've had the situation recently in my own business where, I've turned down two or three clients who me to do work in a way I know doesn't work. So I don't want to put my name on something.
Yeah.
After 50 years in construction, having a good name, I'm not going to tag myself to something I know or high chance isn't going to go well at an early stage. So I'd rather not be involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We go to the next slide, please. So this one, again, a lot of things, but I'll look at a couple points here on these check marks. Excuse me, curate with purpose. That's what we've been talking about, I believe, pretty much this
Yeah.
whole webinar. It's a purposeful thing. You don't just wake up one morning and say, oh, I think I'm going to do a food hall, or I think I want to do F&B for a hotel. I mean, you have so many personnel people that you've already talked to or worked with to get to a point where you want to talk to us. And that's the key is be ready. If you're not ready, it hurts us and it hurts you. My big thing when I work with any client that's, just individual or groups, I have to have a menu because that's my Bible, because I care about the factories first. Those are the kitchen, or if it's a bar or both, those are factories. I'm an industrial designer. And when I put on my food
Yeah.
service design hat, and those things are what make the money. Yes, I care about and I worry about all the other stuff because I have the expertise to worry about how many bathrooms and basic flow of what we're going to do. But the key is those are first. And that's how we would want to handle these larger projects. No difference. It's so funny in this industry. It's like you pretty much have to do the same steps. If you're driving through a little double drive-through coffee stand, there's going to be stuff, right? And you just got to do more of that stuff, but it gets more complicated, the more pieces and parts. I was told by Maverick Gaming, who I did work with for a while, that they called me up and they say, hey, Lou, we got another puzzle for you to solve. They called me the puzzle solver. And that's really designers. That's what we do. And Colin too.
Yeah.
He solves the puzzle after we've done it.
I,
He
I,
goes,
I
wait
know
a
where
minute.
I know where you're coming from, Luke. Because I mean, recently this comes more to hotel building. I don't know how you
Yeah.
experience it on this, but we work on a lot of hotels where they don't at the early stages. They maybe don't know who the F&B
No.
outlets are going to be. Like
Right.
I was the owners on the owners team for the Fontainebleau here in Las Vegas, which is a
Mhm.
$4.1 billion project and had 38 restaurants. But we didn't have all the restaurant people on early days, but they still wanted to, we got to put the drainage in, we got to put the grease traps in, all the stuff's got to go in
Right.
So you have to have somebody who's got at least put a plan there. It's not going to be, you're not going to be designing a kitchen for an Asian kitchen because you don't know what's going to go in there. But you've got to have the experience to put sufficient um,
Infrastructure. Yeah.
infrastructure in
Right.
place that you will be able to adapt it later to potentially what's going to come down the road,
Exactly.
which is
That's a
always a
very good
lot,
point.
which is very hard. I agree with you. If you're up front, we know what the outlet's going to be. They have an idea of their menu. We can review that with them, as you
Right.
said, to make sure that the back of house is right for that menu, that
Yep.
the bar is right for those drinks, and that they
Yep.
realize which drinks are making. Like Rick was talking to me, and I was quite surprised. I mean, we all go to bars, but I didn't know which drinks make more money.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes, like if you're having a meal, sometimes it's better to offer a little bit cheaper on a meal because that
Uh-huh.
type of meal, people drink a certain type of drink and you make a
Yep.
lot of profit on the drink. So there's a lot of technical stuff to this. The average person has no idea,
No,
but
no, you're
that's
right.
how
Yep.
successful restaurants win. They know their menu, they know their drinks, they know their profits. They put the menu to suit the drink to suit the
Right.
menu, and to maximize profit because they're there for making business as well as giving us service. They're
Oh,
there to
sure.
make profit. So I was quite interested with that with Rick. He writes a lot of articles on profits and bars and stuff, and
Yep.
he's published a lot of good information. So yeah, there's a lot more
Well,
to this. That's why they need people like
oh yeah.
you and the Magnificent Seven. People need experts who. I owned a
Right.
restaurant. Actually, I was a part owner in a restaurant in South Africa
Hmm.
years ago.
Okay.
It was called the Place. It was a Mediterranean, and it's a nightmare because I did it all wrong. I mean, it was a Greek restaurant. We bought it, and when we bought it, it was really busy. As soon as we bought
Mhm.
it, the Greek owner went 2 blocks down the road and opened another restaurant, and all the clients followed him. So we
Oh,
had to start
yeah.
start
There
from
you go.
scratch.
I've heard those stories before. Italian
Oh
restaurant.
man, it was a nightmare. But I wish I had somebody like you guys who'd been advising me on the menu and the drinks and the layout. And so I've got a bit more in depth than the average building type guy. I've been involved in restaurant construction for years, but having owned a restaurant for quite a few years, the operational side, it makes
Right.
a big difference if you've got some expert advice. And
Well,
if you have a
I'll
good chef involved from the beginning,
yes.
in the
Oh
hotels
yeah.
I've worked on, they've had their chefs on board quite early,
Yes.
and they've
Yes.
been a huge advantage. Most of the
Have
really
to.
good ones have been a
Yes.
good advantage. Yeah,
They're part of the team. They're part of the development team, and that's how it should be.
exactly.
In a perfect world. But one thing I wanted to touch on about the drink things too, because again, we're always on trend. We're always looking at new trends. Well, in the U.S. for sure. I think worldwide, but in the U.S. mostly because of the demographics of the population. There are so many, younger people, and like the Gen Z, the 20, what they're not drinking as much alcohol. And I've had several articles in my trade journals, and it's true. I'm actually going to be working on one, and they are non-alcoholic, but they still got to be special. And some of those, because you don't have the alcohol cost for on your end, on the the service end side, the cost to produce that to then sell it, whatever, is bigger. So when I see these food halls again, I could see a mocktail almost thing with some burgers and stuff, and you don't have alcohol, and that I bet you will play a lot. I don't think that trend is going to go away because the population is going to go away. Yes, you're going to have ones that go out, but I've heard and a lot of them are going out in bigger groups, 8, 10, 12, and maybe half of them are drinking and half of them aren't. And the bars
Yeah,
right now are scrambling. I mean, it's coming up, but they're getting hit. So that's a big trend that I think plays right into the food hall piece as well. There's
yeah.
more, again, more
I think
legs,
that's
more things, that can happen
yeah.
with
That's
that.
just. I think you got your finger on the pulse there because I mean, funny enough, I was back home in Ireland just a few weeks back, and Ireland in our village, you'd have like every 3 shops would be a pub. When I
Yeah,
was a young guy,
right.
now in our village now there's only 2 bars.
Yeah.
You have to go a bit further out to get to other like pubs, and all the bars are not just like there's one left that's like a drinking old man's
Oh, sure.
bar, but all the rest are more like gastro
Yep.
bars where it's
Yep.
all about the food, the
Yep.
environment. They converted our old train station has been converted into a very large restaurant called Flannery's, and that's really nice. They do a lot of nice stuff, but it's the ambience of that existing building that they adapted. But I was talking to the owner down there because I know his son, and he was saying exactly what you're saying. He has a very extensive um, alcohol-free range of
Yeah,
drinks
right.
and the food, and he says it's more about the less alcohol and the food
Yep.
now than it is about the
Yeah,
old days
yeah.
ago. But
It
that is
is.
the
So
trend.
it is a trend, big trend. And so let's see here. So design for experience, we've kind of talked about that. The leveraging the partnerships, that is key. Just those bullet points are very important. And local governments, so that's something that is a factor, which I've already seen happening in Denver. We'll probably be doing a food hall there next year or two. At least one in downtown Denver, the area that they've rezoned. So see, that's a governmental thing. Because if they couldn't have got those rezoned for residential, they're going to sit there, right? These
Yep.
office buildings are never going to get redone or occupied. There's no way, not as office buildings. But the
No.
adapt, and the last point on there, excuse me, the adaptive reuse. Yes, like Colin said, the warehouses. It depends on the part of the country or the part of the world. Here in the West, we're a lot newer than the East Coast or even the Midwest, going backwards to. Then that's why I know Dylan Halazinski, our food hall expert, he had done some in some historic buildings or some old, high rises, mid rises that they had converted. Sometimes mostly they were on the bottom floor in those kind of high buildings. Sometimes there was one on the middle floor. There's one that's been around even before food hall. It's called Food Space. Well, I mean, a lot of people might. That is an icon. It was that thing's been at least 30 years, but it's been around, and really the people who he worked for, Urban Space, they developed the first marketplaces in Europe. The actual just marketplace, they developed it. So this guy who's now in our team and his own company is probably one of the best experts in food halls in the world, really, because he worked with Urban Space, and
Yeah, clever.
he
He's a
was their
very
guy.
clever guy. Clever guy.
Very
Yeah.
clever, yeah. So we're blessed with that, and I say that because we're all blessed. Colin's a Christian. I'm not going to preach to anybody, but I know it makes a difference. We all feel that way. We have a trust, and we do the same with our clients. I'm not saying that you have to be that to do it. That's not what my point is. It's just something that we have more in common that seem to draw us together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's pretty cool. It's really a cool thing. So
Yeah.
the next one, that's you're up. You're up now, sir.
Okay. So ADDMORE, yes, my baby. So yeah, so it was great meeting Lou. As you said, we had a chat with Lou. Actually, Lou, my wife reached out to you first, and then
Yeah,
you called me, and then we had a chat, and just through both being Christians and both being in the industry and having a lot of interest and ideas, it just clicked, and some great things I think are going to come down the road from it. Where we can help is with the team is obviously, and for me, it's not all about just getting work for ADDMORE. Anybody who contacts me, and it's an a la carte service, it's a white glove service. I will pass you to Lou, most likely in the first place, because Lou has got the most experience with the food and beverage to know which members of the seven are going to be the best to be involved. It might be just Lou, it might be just Dylan, it might be a mix of the people. Where I come involved, if there's any of the team that need drawing support, if they need renderings for the owner, if they need project management service for the ownership, or anything like that, ADDMORE can help. With my 50 odd years in construction, as I said, had experience owning a restaurant. I've built a lot of hotels with a lot of F&B spaces. Just finished Fontainebleau. We put 38 restaurants in there. So I'm very familiar with it. And it's just a great experience to work with the guys. My company, actually, main role is providing two options. One is services, which is what would be related to the Mag 7, where we can do a rendering set of drawings, we can do packages for the team, or we can do takeoffs, bills of materials, we can do estimating. The other side of my company is where we provide professional talent from offshore. So if somebody has got a job and they don't have Revit architects, but they need them for 4 months, I can set up a team of 4 guys in Argentina or in Manila. I pre-qualify them. They have no recruitment costs. I assign them for 4 months to them, and they manage them, so the controls are there. They do their work. It augments their team for as long. It's very scalable. It allows them to take on more work without having to increase their fixed overhead. So that's proving is a newer side to our business, and that is really taking off. We've got a lot of people out there. I think over 77 people are currently out there on engagement with different companies. And then we have the other side, which you give me the work, we go away, we'll do the rendering, and we'll return it as per the terms agreed. So the ADDMORE and Magnificent Seven really is that deep industry expertise between everybody. I mean, I've learned a lot just even listening to Lou and to Kevin and the guys about and Rick about the bars and the menus and the numbers of turns and everything related to that. But what really has hit home to me is the adaptive reuse. Back in the day when I was back in London, I was involved for about 8, 10 years of my career working in the East End of London, where we were doing a lot of wharf. They used to have all the old wharfs around the River Thames, and those wharfs eventually were warehouses that were empty and idle, and it was a bad area. They got actually converted to luxury penthouses and condos. And so as an adaptive reuse, I was involved in that back 30, 40 years ago, probably. So adaptive reuse is not a new thing, but I think in this concept of the food hall, it's a great thing. And the actual type of bit, like I was said, as I said, even back at home in my home area, I was in a train, and what was a train station and is now fantastic. It's actually a large restaurant rather than a food hall, but it still was amazing the way it had all been pulled together. And that's something that Lou and the team can do for you.
Right.
We are collaborative. It's very custom. It's very niche. It's bespoke. We listen to you. We work with the chefs. Lou and the team are all used to working with chefs, top interior designers. There's no egos involved. We're here to give the client the best result with a product that's going to make him money and have happy customers. And then it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Well,
I think
go ahead, Colin. Go finish up, and I got a testimony.
So I was just going to say the proven success in food hall development that Lou's been involved in previously, he's currently talking about. You know, you can't ignore that type of experience, that type of benefit. And Lou and myself, we're straight talking guys, so we tell it as it is, and that's what you need. When I had my own business, I wish I had somebody of the restaurant business. I wish somebody had told me a few things that I thought I was doing right and I didn't do very well. But it was an experience, and like everything in life, you learn and you move on. But it's all good experience now, because a lot of things I learned from my own business of being involved in the restaurant industry, I definitely think about when we're looking at something together or Lou gets me involved, and I enjoy it. So I'm not just in it just to just for another quick buck on ADDMORE's role. I like to be involved in it. I like to help the team. I'm an older guy, so I mean it's good to share your knowledge. It's good to support the team. Some of the team are younger guys. There's a group of guys in their 50s or 60s, but there's some younger guys in the team as well. There's a real depth of experience that I've been so impressed with, and it's been my pleasure to be involved with. So I'll leave that to you, Lou. I mean, I think my part in it is if I can help with, introducing the team to the right people, and then really where I can add value is if the owner wants somebody to project manage like if we take an existing building and they want somebody to project manage the whole thing from the feasibility to the budget to the actual cost, the placing of the contracts with contractors and whoever's need to be involved, ADDMORE can help on that side of it so that we can work closer with the Magnificent Seven.
And for me, think about this too for other people that are on this call or not, but I have a really good friend. It's just happened to her, and Colin really has been helping her. She's a high-end interior designer, very good, multi-million-dollar houses and complexes. Well, she was having a hard time getting her drawings, meaning more, not as much construction that too, but these were more like I do a lot of them, their color rendering, their color elevations that show really the client gives them the visuals, right? and also some
Well,
construction document parts.
yeah, you're talking about Sarah.
Yeah, I'm talking about Sarah.
She's
And you
very
gave two
high,
people.
very
You
high
gave
end.
two, yeah.
Yeah, I gave her
And,
two people
yeah,
from Latin America, and she's taking another one now. She wants another
yeah.
interior
She
architect.
loves it. She
So
loves it,
she'll
you
have
know.
three
So
people from me. She's happy, but she
yeah.
has a very high standard. She has
Yep.
so when we went to recruit, we listened to what the client wants. She wanted certain software skills and certain abilities for 3D and visualization with SketchUp and layout and things like that. And she does amazing work. I'm very impressed with her work.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to Lou, I mean, I've got three people. I will have three people fully engaged with her on a sort of medium to long term contract. So that's been going very well, and she's very happy, smooth. So, but she's another great person to be involved. You know, she's a great interior designer. I mean, man, I've
Yeah. She
seen some
worked
of
for
the stuff she's
Nordstrom's
done.
for many years before she
Yeah,
started her own company. Yeah.
yeah, she's talented. There's no
Yeah, she
question.
is. And she's pretty young. But here's the other thing about the age, or I want to, Colin and I had a very nice face to face in May. I was over there for a wedding and some other business.
Oh
And
yeah,
we sat
that's
down,
right.
we both looked at each other, you know, we said, yeah, we're who we are today. But Colin and the Magnificent Seven, we are legacy companies. Don't anybody think that this is a short term or that, oh, somebody's going to retire or die and there goes the Magnificent. No, 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 not at
No,
all.
no,
Zero,
no.
zero. We
Yeah,
have people already in the wings that want to join, but our stipulation they have to be owners. But we want to
yeah,
keep the original seven as long as whatever. But we already have legacy in our draw too. We have 4 FCSI members. Well, that's a worldwide organization. See, a lot of people don't realize this. We belong to the Americas division, which is Canada, North America, and South America. But then you have UK, Asia. There's 5 separate parts, but it's a worldwide thing. So we can draw, like I can get guys down south, for example, in South America for Colin. These are the things that he didn't realize. He does now. He knows, and he's expanding. He didn't realize how big FCSI is, and they're the
yes.
only one in the world that is a organization for food service consultants, professional service food service consultants, and that's it. But like for me, I'm going down this coming up next month. It's one of the largest food service equipment conglomerates in the country, and I'm going there for ventless cooking. I've wrote a lot. We're coming to a point, and that's the other point about all this thing we've been talking about today. There is coming right now. I could probably do 5 or 10 concepts within this without a hood. That's a
Yeah.
game changer. It's a huge game changer for these rehabs. It just
Well,
is.
Lou, I'd like to open this up for question and
Yeah,
answers
yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. No, I'm done.
if anybody's
Let's
on
see.
and wants to listen. But I
Yes,
would
please.
say to everybody before we go to Q&A, Lou and I are both. I'm going to add. ADDMORE has a booth at the booth
Yes.
451 at the
Thank you.
Chicago Design and Build, which is October the 28th and 29th. I am there for ADDMORE Services, but I am also representing Magnificent Seven. But I'm really happy to announce that Lou will also be there.
Yep, I
He will
will.
be attending our booth as and when available, and he'll be available to meet anybody. So
Yep,
both of us will be in the same place. It will be an ideal opportunity if anybody wants to have further information or discussions. We'll both be there and available to make any
yes.
meetings. So I'd like to open it up. If anybody's online and they've got any questions, drop them in the chat. If nobody has anything more to say today, everybody who is registered and joined today will get the screen slides and they will get a copy of the ebook. Um, everybody else who wants to get a copy we will be putting this out in clips on LinkedIn with a link to the full audio. As long as they give their email, they may be able to um, then they can get the full audio recording and and the ebook as well. So, but for that, just have to give the email and request the download. So they'll be going out probably next week and the week after. Link will be Lou will be sharing it on his network as well. So probably some of the other members of the Magnificent Seven. So has anybody out there got any questions today? If nobody has anything specific they want to ask, I hope that we've explained it clearly. And for those that when we break this into clips, there'll be some practical advice in there. I think some good takeaways in there from Lou for anybody who wasn't really aware of food halls and adaptive reuse of buildings and how that all works, I think Lou's given a pretty good overview today with a few special recommendations, like the modular part. People maybe not be thinking about that. People maybe not thinking about enough about before you're thinking about the building you want to go into. How much effort and time have you thought? What menu do you want to do? What food menu and bar menu? Because that's where the money's made. So you need to have the right mix there. But before you really even see talking to Lou, you should have an idea for that. So Lou, as Lou said, he's got his factories in the back of the house. And for him to put that to work for you efficiently, he needs to make sure that those selections for the food and the bar are properly reviewed and make sense, and then he can make the rest of it work accordingly. So
Yeah.
nobody seems to be putting any
Okay.
questions, Lou.
Well, the bar thing, yeah, the Rick Usabel. See, here's the thing. We have our bar expert now. Rick and I have known each other about 20 years. But I be honest, I have done 600 bars, but I'm doing the front of the house and stuff too. He doesn't do that. His is, but he does all the liquor systems. He's far
Yeah.
better bar design. I mean, that's why he's on this group, and
Oh,
he's the
he's
best.
great.
He's one of the best in the world. I mean, honestly. And but
Oh
then
yeah,
he needs
I've
that
learned a
stuff
lot from
too.
him. Yeah.
He needs that stuff. He needs that information on the bar as much as I do for the kitchen.
Well,
Yeah, if it's a, he's
what's amazing talking to Kevin is his knowledge on not just on the technical aspects, but the pricing of the drinks, the
yep,
costing of the bar, whether it's an upgrade of an existing bar, which he does as well, or a
yeah.
completely new bar setup. But he knows all the best suppliers. He knows what you should be using, where you should be using it, how you should be using it. He is a real specialist in the team and a big added value.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's especially when we're doing larger projects, hotels, whatever. You have a hotel for sure.
Yeah,
I know from doing them at Weston, you're going to have at least a lot of rooftop probably bar. You're going to have probably 4 bars. If it's, you could have 6, 8 bars depending on the size of the complex. And
yeah,
but then you got the systems behind that, the liquor systems. Like he had an article he just put up. If anybody's interested, YouTube would be great source. That's where all his stuff is. How he was able to show he could save all the numbers don't lie by having a walk-in too far away that is specifically, it's called a barricade cooler, and it by having it so many more feet away, the $40,000 were lost because again, it's knowing what you know, and by
yeah,
code they have to clean those lines every so often, and that all that product in those lines is wasted. It can be mitigated by a thing called fobs, and that's again from actually was invented in Colin's home country in back in Ireland back in the day, but it's a special little thing, and that saves you too on the line. But the key is it's you don't want to have these things far away, even though you have glycol, you have all this stuff that can allow you to go 150 to, you don't want to do that. It's all these
no,
things, these little, but it's big. They may seem little at the time when you're designing it and putting it down. No, that's why that's why you folks
yeah.
like him or like me, because we're thinking long term. We're thinking we're not just thinking, let's get this open.
No, I think the real word there is we're thinking. Yes, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So look, I think we're going to wrap this up with the
Yeah.
end of the thing. So Lou, it's been great to have you on board.
Thank you,
I will
sir.
send you the clips and the screen and the recordings, everything,
Cool.
and we'll send out everything to the people who registered, and then we're putting it out on social media, so on. Looking forward to expanding this and
Yeah.
getting involved with the first adaptive reuse. I mean,
Yes.
personally, I've done a lot of historic buildings and things like that. I
Yeah.
really find it challenging and interesting. Actually, I did in South Africa, in Johannesburg, the old main train line there
Mm.
became what is now known as the Africana Museum.
Oh,
And
cool.
we converted the old train station into that museum. And there was a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
challenges with the MEP and
I
everything
bet.
else. There's a lot of requirements with museums. But again, adaptive reuse. I really
Well,
love adaptive reuse.
see, I
It's a
was thinking
great
that
thing.
too, Colin, because for again, some of these places aren't good because they have too much, not any infrastructure at all for food and beverage, not enough drainage. It could be cost too much money, but for you, for your side, I can see you should be brought in on some of those when we do a quick evaluation to do what you can do in your due diligence and actually costing and stuff like that preliminary, right? I mean, to
Yeah,
me,
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
very important. And I've thought about it. but because of this right now, and because I didn't know you had that much experience in
Yeah, I've done
historical building. Yeah.
I've done three museums, but I also worked on, it's called Number One Apsley House in London at Marble Arch, which is the Duke of Wellington's former residence.
I remember Marble Arch.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and my family had the maintenance contract in Buckingham Palace. We used to go there and
cool.
do all the gypsum cornices and fibers plastering and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, look, we'll have to cut it short today. That'll be
Yes, sir.
all for another day.
All right, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Love talking to you.
Yes,
God
sir.
bless,
Bye-bye.
man. Thank you.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
God bless.